Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. You know what to do by now. Get involved in the comments and the chat. Loads of Manchester United stories to get through. Also, bit of breaking news, as you probably just heard, in Harry Kane having a bid, or Spurs having a bid, accepting a bid. Let me get this right. Spurs accepting a bid from Bayern Munich for Harry Kane. So we'll get into that as well. You can ask yourself, does that really affect Manchester United? Maybe there's a few romantics out there that still think Harry Kane could end up coming to Old Trafford. Does that change anything, though? Because it's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. It's moved a step closer. The ball is still very much in Harry Kane's court. As always, it seems like as always recently, there's the obligatory Mason Greenwood story, update, news report, whatever you want to call it. So we'll get into that. Also, a few more stories regarding outgoings. Manchester United having a little bit of a fire sale in terms of getting rid of some of the players we need to get rid of. So we'll get into all that. Loads of people already in the comments. Make sure, if you are watching, you're hitting that like button. Hit that like button. And if you've not done already, give us a subscribe as well. Music Alley, Danny Inns, Rob Holiday, Connor Claffey, Cjo, James John, Sleeping Bear, Phil Berry, all saying yes, Jay, morning Jay, good stuff. Music Alley says, morning Jay, head looking extra shiny today. Thank you for that one. Edward Wilson says, morning from the US, Jay. Thank you for all your support over in the US. It was fantastic being on tour, meeting all those fabulous Manchester United fans from over there. Also, Whitterbirds in the chat says, nobody bought Kane for the Fantasy Premier League. If you become a member, don't forget you're teaming by tomorrow. Great point. If you are a member of this channel, we have got some extra content, including our Fantasy Football League as well. In fact, right, let's tell you what, producer, should we do the Kane thing first, because it's breaking, and then we'll get into the United stuff. I want to talk about this Kane, because it's just come out now by David Ornstein, who is Mr. Reliable. I don't know. What do you reckon? Is he more reliable than Fabrizio now? Is he quicker than Fabrizio? I feel like them two are like Ali and Fraser. Do you know what I mean? They're like, they're like, I was going to say Fergie and Wenger, but that wasn't close, was it? That Fergie was well ahead of him. But you know what I mean? Like Ben and Eubank, and I don't mean Ben and Eubank Jr. Very close, neck and neck, top tier, tier one journalists, always breaking stories. David Ornstein has gone with this one. Bayern Munich have reached an agreement with Spurs to sign Harry Kane. Sources in Germany indicate Bayern proposal worth above €100 million accepted by Spurs. 30-year-old has been leaning towards staying, but must now make a decision. Now, if you watched the overlap the other day where our very own Adam McCall was on there, Gary Neville said he didn't think Harry Kane would go. He had a feeling. I think he said he didn't know. I think he said he had a feeling that Harry Kane would stay in the Premier League because he want to break the Premier League record. And Jamie Carragher weighed in and said that when he spoke to Alan Shearer about what was more important to him, being the Premier League all-time top scorer or winning that title at Blackburn, he said he was in the team to score goals. His job was to score goals, so scoring goals is more important. And I've been thinking about this. And I've always been of the opinion that Harry Kane should go and win trophies. He should get trophies. I think that's the sort of one detriment to his career. He's won the World Cup Golden Boot. He's won Golden Boots in the Premier League. There's a good chance he will finish, if he stays at Spurs, he can finish Premier League all-time top scorer. But does it matter without trophies? But then, when I think about it, and I'm not just trying to convince myself, part of me feels like go to Bayern Munich and winning a trophy, unless it's the Champions League, isn't much of an achievement. I'm not being horrible, but it isn't. They've won, 10 titles on a spin. No one's going to go, wow, I can't believe you won the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. And also, winning a trophy is great. It's important. I've always said it's all about winning trophies. But it depends on the nature of that. Like, would you say that Wout Weghorst has had a better career than Harry Kane because Wout Weghorst has won a trophy and Harry Kane hasn't? No. You got to put it into context. And I think that for Harry Kane to win a trophy, I think it'd be an achievement if he said won a trophy at Spurs, or if he came to United and won a title, that would be an achievement. Go to Bayern Munich and win a title, I think it's more or less just ticking a box. I think it's just saying, look, now you can't say I haven't won a trophy, because I have. So, I don't know, man. Part of me kind of thinks I wouldn't blame him for staying, even though the obvious thing is to go to Bayern Munich and get that sort of, the black mark off his name, the monkey off his back, and get a trophy. But I don't know. It seems like it's such a tap-in, innit? Bayern Munich. some would say might as well be Celtic. Get involved in the chat and let us know what you think. Ray Nico says, Bayern with Kane are Champions League favourites. I don't think they are. Going to put that straight out there. I don't think they are Champions League favourites. I still think it's Manchester City, and it pains me to say that. It really does. You may disagree. City turned over by Munich. I know Dayot Upamecano had an absolute shocker, but still, I think there's a bit of a gap there. Santa Notch says, don't you think Kane will not mind the idea about winning a trophy? I don't know. I think maybe he's settled. He's 30 now. If it had bothered him that much, maybe. I know he did try and get a move to City a few years ago, but I don't know. I just, because it's Bayern Munich, I just feel like, does it count? Do you know what I mean? Like, is anyone going to go, wow, you won a trophy, you won the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich? He went to Dortmund and won the Bundesliga, I think he'd get credit. Chris Bray says, wonder if we match Bayern's bid and announce Kane just after announcing Greenwood is staying to distract from that drama. It's one point of view. Jibak Sahu says, from Kane's point of view, Bayern is an insurance policy for him to win a title. United is a risk. He wants to make sure he wins titles with the next move. Yeah, it just feels a bit... almost a meaningless one. And I know that's harsh because trophies are trophies, and winning the Bundesliga is still winning the Bundesliga. And obviously there was a time when Bayern Munich didn't win it every year, but now they do. They always win it. So I just don't see the sense of real achievement in it, to be honest with you. It's just a box-ticking exercise, and it could come at the cost. Well, I think it will come at the expense of you not being the Premier League top scorer. If he goes to Bayern Munich for 3 years, I don't see him definitely finishing Premier League top scorer. He might do. He might come back and still have another couple of seasons in him where he matches beats the tally, whatever. I just don't see it, I'll be honest with you. Hit that like button anyway. Let us know what you think. Loads of people getting involved in the comments and the chat. Always good to see that. Glenn F says, I had a milestone chat, but it came out as a normal one. New producer wanted to say thanks for all the hard-working team at the Full-Time Devils, up the Reds and up the Paddock, up the F Paddock. Yes, thank you, Glenn. Always been a big supporter of the channel. It is appreciated. Thanks to everyone that has supported the channel as well. I'm going to get into this Mason Greenwood thing, yeah? I'm going to talk about it and move on. Now, I know a lot of you will be thinking, crikey, Jay, it's every day this week, Mason Greenwood. But we're getting to that point, unfortunately, where... and I say unfortunately because I'm getting a bit bored of it, but we have to be honest, it's the story doing the rounds every day because we're expecting an announcement before the Wolves game. So every day you've got a different angle in it. You've had him in training, not in Manchester United training, but training. There was various reports about how United have received those training reports from whoever's been giving him his training. There's other reports about how a decision is imminent. A decision's got to be made this week. You see this on the Express. Manchester United have reportedly decided against releasing Mason Greenwood this summer. Comes from the Sun. Hashtag don't buy the Sun. There's a reason I won't put the Sun up there. I'll go right the Express. I've got absolutely no intention of reading the Sun or promoting him or whatever. However, this Express story, which is sort of our get out of jail free card, if you will, comes from the Sun. It says Mason, a Sun source said, who's that? Do you know what I mean? Is that someone he just spoke to who's on the street? Mason is working hard and never on the training pitch. He's desperate to return to the side as soon as possible and wants to put the last 18 months behind him. Now, we've had there's another one as well about, the only thing that remains to be decided is whether he returns to first team action or goes out on a season-long loan. So they're saying there the two options are return to the first team or a loan, not a sale. Now, again, if it's come from the Sun, pinch of salt. But one thing we can all be sure of, a decision has to be made, and I keep saying that because it's true. Manchester United are going to have to do something about Mason Greenwood sooner rather than later because the season kicks off in a few days. We've got a game against Wolves. I don't expect him to play any part even if he decides to keep him out, but the manager needs to know, and the people, and you might say the fans need to know. I think it's good for the fans to know what's going on with Mason Greenwood, especially such an emotive subject as that. But first and foremost, I think the manager needs to know who he can choose and whether Mason Greenwood is part of his plans. I dare say he has had a say in that. He does know, but we'll wait and see. The Tina Telefson Toka says Kane needs to win the Premier League if Kane has wish to the greatest English forward. It's weird with Kane, isn't it? Because he could have gone to City a few years ago. And if he'd gone to City and won the title, would people have still gone, well, not much of an achievement there, is it, going to the Premier League champions and helping them retain the title? I don't know, it's like, I feel like for it to be a real achievement. Listen, I don't like the fact that Alan Shearer chose Blackburn Rovers over Manchester United. And I still stand by the idea that they only won the title because Eric Cantona got suspended in 1995. But when Shearer went there and won the title there, you can go, okay, he earned it, despite Eric's suspension. that's definitely a side that no one thought was going to win the title, and he won them the title with all his goals. So there's a sense of achievement there, or buy it, Jack Walker's millions buying it for him. But I don't see that same sort of sense of achievement if Harry Kane goes to Bayern Munich. And even if they'd gone to City, I still think it might have been a bit of a question mark. But you can't question someone too much winning the Premier League. Winning the Bundesliga, it's a different story. Jay Frasconi says, morning Jay, Kane at Bayern for them to win their 57th title in a row does not show ambition. He does not have a hungry player mindset. On Greenwood, can't get value for him in the current situation. He's staying for now. That is Jay Frasconi's opinion. Get involved in the comments and let us know your opinion. Don't forget as well to hit that like button. If you're not doing already, subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers. We've got past the 700,000 mark. We've got past the 710,000 mark. I want to get to 800,000 subscribers, and I'm sure we can do it. Anas Tagoya says, I'm late because I was watching Housing, but good morning, Jay. Yes, Steve went early today, and we went a little bit later just because we've got a bit of filming to do, and we had to, we worked together. He's a part owner of this channel, so we did a little deal where he went first and we went second, and then we're going to do some content together later on today. Stato92 says, morning Jay, Paddock doing a fantasy football league this year. Yeah, we do something for our members. It's a bit of extra content for our members where we do a fantasy football league, and then we also do some videos. Me and Joe Smith usually go through our teams. I usually do terribly. It's usually funny, and then we give a prize to the winner. So check out the member section if you can. Sheet Game, who's been a member of the Academy for 12 months, says, morning Jay, love the content as always. Up the Paddock. Alan HR says, Sky Sports said Kane deal agreed. Yeah, I think the fee's been agreed. I don't think he's agreed to go, and that is the big question. Should we talk about Amrabat? Because Manchester United don't have many irons in the fire when it comes to players coming in. We've got a few, but the main one is Sofian Amrabat. You can see here, I think this is from the Express again, Manchester United are pushing forward their move for Fiorentina star Sofian Amrabat this summer as they press ahead with selling off their fringe players. According to the transfer insider Alfredo Padula, he's been all over this one. United must first offload players to raise the funds needed to sign Amrabat. Now, the good thing, or the good part of that is, Harry Kane is basically done. He's got to West Ham for 30 million. I think there's a few other players as well who are more or less done. I think Eric Bailly is done as well. I think Fred is on the verge of a move. We'll get into that in a minute. Also, there's interest around McTominay. There's some of the youngsters we have gone for, $1 million here and $1 million there. Nothing to shout home about. But we have got some players that could fetch a little bit of a fee who does look like they're going to be moving on. So maybe that would free up the funds needed to buy Sofian Amrabat. There's a potential here for Manchester United to have a proper clear out this summer and almost recoup what we've spent, almost, maybe not quite, but not far off, which would be proper Glazeonomics, wouldn't it? People saying about Dapper Dad says Greenwood better than Kane. People getting into the Greenwood conversation. Reza Khan says we love Mason Greenwood as a player, generational talent. People who are riding on a moral high horse should start supporting City. Young people make mistakes. I don't think if you're on a moral high horse you can support City. I'm just going to put that one out there. I think if you're on a moral high horse, the last club you support is the one with 115 charges against them, the one that's already paid a load of fines because of breaches and all the rest of it, and the one that got off on FFP when it came to the Court of Arbitration of Sport on a technicality because there was a statute of limitations. I don't think that's the club I would be going down the route of if I had a moral high ground. That's probably the last one, but I understand your point about morals in football. Lots of people don't have them. Pete, who's been a member of the Academy for 11 months, said, we'd love to see us in for Kane, but if we need to raise funds for Amrabat, then we will need to sell half the squad to fund a Kane move. Jay and Joe's adopted son, Benjamin, says, Jay is the best and hope Pele actually gets game time for us. Anthony is, in my opinion, not always that trustworthy. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see what's going to happen with our wingers this season. We've got a few that are sort of knocking on the door. Garnacho, obviously, bright talent. Sancho's had a decent-ish pre-season, not all sunshine and rainbows. Also, obviously, Marcus is probably going to move over to that left-hand side if Højlund's going to be down the middle. So then you've got Diallo, who's carrying a bit of an injury. Is he going to get any game time? We'll have to wait and see. Let's move on. Let's talk about Fred. The Fred situation here, this again from the Express, but I think it's coming from Sky Sports. Fulham are set to reignite their interest in Fred before the summer transfer window concludes, Sky Sports report. There was this interest one there. They wanted to get him. I think they were quoted around 40 million. United wanted 20 million, but the negotiations are sort of set to continue there. I think he'd do a good job for Fulham. He's 30 years old. I think he's got 1 year left on his deal, so that's why you're probably not going to get much more for him. There was also interest, as you can see there, from Galatasaray. Fred, I mean, he's a likeable guy, isn't he, Fred? I think we all like the guy. He's had some good games. He's had some that haven't been so great. It makes sense to move him on, though, especially if you can get money for him in the last year of his contract, and you're looking to bring in Amrabat, and you've already brought in Mason Mount. I know they're all different type of players, but you brought in some midfielders. Adam McCullers there looking at me, sucking his straw. We're going to be doing some video. Got a brand new podcast coming up shortly as well. We're all 4 of us going to be on it, so make sure you check that out. Let's talk about Maguire replacements, because we've been linked with a load of centre-backs. You can see here Fabrizio Romano. West Ham now waiting to have formal authorisations to start discussions. There's a tongue twister for you. Over personal terms with Harry Maguire. Man United options to replace him. Pavard, Todibo and Tapsoba. So we've got a few irons in the fire there. Let us know who you'd like to see. Pavard is probably the most well-known one, obviously Bayern Munich and all the rest of it. 27 years old. I think the other centre-backs we've been linked with are a little bit younger. Florian Plettenberg, who's a friend of the channel, has been on a few times, says Benjamin Pavard, concrete talks with Manchester United at this stage. All parties involved are working on a verbal agreement now. Ten Hag is pushing for Pavard as he's a versatile defender. Pavard wants to leave Bayern in August. I'd have Pavard, would you? Some people on the the transfers live last night saying Bayern Munich reject, decent defender, played a lot of games, played 43 games I think for Bayern Munich last season, 27, can still do a job, and also he's going to probably come in and not be first choice as well. That's a big thing as well. He's not going to come in and be first choice. He's probably going to be behind Varane and Martinez, so kind of makes sense. Let us know what you think. Faraz Khan says, sorry Jay, joining late, missed it all, and we'll rewind shortly, but wanted to say with Todibo, any idea if Sir Jim Ratcliffe will have any say on the transfer, as his bid for the club is just not moving forward? I don't know. I know. I get your point there, but I don't know. Everything with the bids and the takeover, it's just gone a bit quiet, hasn't it? It's all gone quiet over there. We'll have to wait and see what happens. There was talk that maybe something would happen in November, which would have been a year since that strategic alternatives announcement by the Glazers. So it's not ideal, is it? Like everything they touch, it just drags on and it's just a bit of a farce. But as and when we hear anything, we will keep you posted. But whenever we've asked that question, we had Dharmesh Seth on the other day, and he was saying that there was a sense of frustration around the club, but there wasn't any sort of movement when it came to the takeover. And we've certainly not heard anything recently. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the comments and the chat. Make sure, if you're not doing already, you are subscribing to the channel and hit that like button as well. Go and check out the members section. You've got to get involved in our Fantasy Football League. Also, as well, we'll have a new podcast coming out later today with myself, Adam McCullough, Joe Smith, and Stephen Howson all on there. So you want to subscribe to the channel because you don't want to miss out on that, do you? I've been Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.